Hey, hold your horses right there, my brother. Take a deep breath. Because what's coming now isn't just any Netflix story. It's not a gringo series with special effects. This is Puerto Rico raw, unfiltered, and without makeup. Today, I'm going to immerse you in the life of the woman who, to this day, when a girl goes crazy in the street, people shout, "Uh-oh, Moncha La Grilla reincarnated has come out." Imagine this, the 80 seconds and 90 seconds, the entire island trembling because there's a lady who doesn't need a man by her side to be in command. A woman who had corrupt police officers eating out of her hand, who, when she arrived in her white Cadillac, people moved aside as if the devil himself were coming. Who contracted murders like someone ordering Uber Eats and who, on top of that, laughed in the faces of the agents when they took her money. Thank you, now it's my turn to collect food stamps. Yes, just like that, with that iron nerve. This is a story that few dare to tell, but I'm gonna tell it to you, because you and I are family in this thing, and here we don't keep quiet about nothing. So, get comfortable, turn up the volume, close the door, because in the next few minutes you are going to meet the true queen of the Puerto Rican underworld. Carmen Ramona Sanchez, Merced, better known on every corner, in every drug point, in every cell of Bayamon 501 as Moncha La Grilla. But before I tell you everything, first make sure to follow me and like this video. The origin of the legend. Let's turn back the clock to the year 1975. Puerto Rico still smelling of cheap gasoline, cars with metal bumpers, the music of El Gran Combo playing in the carports, and the bolita illegal lottery ruling more than the government. Santa Catalina Urbanization, Bayamon. A concrete block house painted light yellow, black gates, a small patio with hibiscus plants. It looks like a normal neighborhood house until the Vice Control Division knocks on the door one random morning. The agents enter thinking they're gonna find a small operation, but when they open the living room closet, boom, more than $36,000 in cash and checks piled up as if they were church flyers. $100 bills, 50s, bundles wrapped in rubber bands. On top of the table were two electric counting machines buzzing, client lists with names, phone numbers, and plate numbers, and in a bedroom drawer, a .38 caliber revolver that had been reported stolen months earlier from a merchant in Cataño. In the middle of all that chaos was her, Carmen Ramona Sanchez Merced, about 35 years old, long black hair down to her waist, eyes that looked at you as if saying, "And who are you to be here?" The police start bagging the money thinking they're gonna see her crying or asking God for forgiveness. And what does she do? She crosses her arms, a lopsided smile escapes her, and she drops the phrase that remained engraved in the criminal history of Puerto Rico. "Thank you, boys. Now it's my turn to go out and collect food stamps to eat." Right in the agents' faces. That very day, the press christened her forever, Moncha La Grilla, and she wasn't alone in that house. Beside her was her husband, Mercedes Medina, a skinny, wiry guy everyone called El Grillo, the cricket, because he talked fast and jumped from one place to another. He was the one managing the largest clandestine bolita in Bayamon at that time. The bolita, for those who don't know much, an illegal lottery that used the numbers from the legal lottery or the Pega 3, but without paying taxes and with much juicier prices. A business that left rivers of money and attracted the worst sharks. Since that raid in '75, the police already knew they had a big problem. Because Moncha wasn't the typical wife of. Moncha was the one who signed, the one who counted, the one who threatened those who didn't pay, the one who decided if they gave you another week or if they visited you at night. And although they left with the money and the machines that day, one thing was crystal clear. That woman wasn't gonna let herself be caught so easily. 1,978. The first murder pinned on her, and how it falls apart in court, like a house of cards. It's 1,978, and Moncha's name no longer just appears in the vice and illegal gambling section, now it appears on the front page of homicides. Santurce, a vacant lot on Loiza Street or nearby. The truth is the newspapers of the time didn't give the exact address. What was written clearly was the name of the victim, Candido Rivera Caraballo, 35 years old, a resident of the Bucarabones neighborhood in Toa Alta, a man who, according to investigators, had an old feud with people from the bolita. They find him shot, several rounds, dead on the spot. The police waste no time. They file charges of first-degree murder and weapons law violations against Moncha La Grilla and another individual who was with her. The press goes crazy. Big headlines. Woman linked to the bolita accused of killing in cold blood. People in the grocery stores talked of nothing else. They had already labeled her the most dangerous woman on the island. But here comes the first twist that proves Moncha was no ordinary person. The case reaches the courtroom, and it crumbles as if it never existed. Witnesses change their versions. Evidence doesn't add up. Prosecutors can't sustain the accusation. In the end, the judge says, no probable cause. Moncha walks out of court with her head held high, her hair loose, and a little smile that told the world, "You're not gonna take me down that easily." June 1980, the day she is caught live and direct delivering an arsenal to a corrupt cop, and we reached the moment that changed everything. June 1980, Jardines de Selles, Guaynabo, a quiet residential area, 2-story houses, children playing ball in the street, until a black Chevrolet Camaro and a gleaming white Cadillac appear. Agents from the Bureau of Special Investigations, NIE, had been surveillance for weeks on Agent Hector Luis Jaime Robles, 38 years old, a policeman everyone knew because he was always laughing and telling jokes, but who was actually one of the dirtiest in the precinct. They had him under the magnifying glass because they knew he was moving stolen weapons and doing little jobs for heavy hitters. That day, they see him sitting on the balcony reading El Vocero, calm, as if nothing were happening. Suddenly, the white Cadillac arrives. Moncha gets out, dressed all in black, dark sunglasses even though it was getting dark, high heels that could be heard from the corner. She opens the trunk without looking anywhere, takes out a sawed-off shotgun wrapped in a sheet, and hands it to Agent Jaime Robles like someone passing a pack of crackers. The investigators hidden in cars without plates almost had a heart attack. They called for reinforcements quickly. When the other agents arrived, they swarmed the two of them. They searched the policeman's Camaro and find everything. The sawed-off shotgun, 2 9mm pistols, 2 silencers, a hunting knife, 60 bullets of different calibers, 6 black assault masks, enough to arm an entire commando unit. And when they go to arrest Moncha, she tries to close the trunk quickly. The agents stop her, open her large purse, and wham! A jar of cocaine she almost dropped, a long 357 Magnum revolver, and a 38 Special Detective. But what left everyone with their mouths open was the last thing they pulled out of that purse: the expired identification card of Commander Emeterio Ortiz, head of the homicide section of the very same bureau that was arresting her. Imagine the agents' faces. The woman they were supposedly investigating had the ID of the head of homicides in her bag as if it were a family photo. The press exploded again. Headlines said things like, "Who was investigating whom?" And Moncha La Grilla had the police in her pocket. A report even came out saying she was the one giving orders to certain NIE agents. The police were quick to deny everything, but the damage was already done. The people in the street no longer had any doubt Moncha was untouchable, or at least that's what she thought. The toxic relationship that shook the entire police. Love, betrayals, and cops sold for a kiss. Here, things turned into a soap opera, but with real lead. After the arrest in 80, rumors began to run faster than cars on the Valdoriori highway, that Moncha and Agent Jaime Robles were lovers, that she had him driven crazy, that she bought him clothes, cars, that she supported him, that Commander Emeterio Ortiz, the same one from the card in the purse, also fell at her feet, that the 2 policemen fought over her in the precinct parking lots, that she used them to clear her path, remove competition, and warn her when a raid was coming. And they weren't just barroom rumors. Things came out in the files that left prosecutors speechless. Phone calls late at night, visits by Moncha to the precinct in disguise, expensive gifts that magically appeared at the homes of certain agents. Meanwhile, in September of that same year, 1980, 2 of Moncha's sons are accused along with other individuals of killing a man in Aguas Buenas. In other words, the entire family was already up to their necks. And although those cases also fell apart or were negotiated, the mark was clear. Anyone raised near Moncha La Grilla ended up with their last name written in some file. The street began to talk about the Black Widow of Bayamon. Because even though El Grillo was still alive at that time, it was already being said that Moncha was looking for someone to do her the favor of removing him from the picture so she could have the whole business for herself. And the policemen who supposedly protected her were the same ones who years later would confess that yes, they would do anything for her. 1981. The sentence that seemed like the end of the world, but was only a parenthesis. April 1981, San Juan. The courtroom is full, journalists even in the hallway, cameras outside waiting for them to bring Moncha out in handcuffs. First, they capture the fugitive agent Hector Luis Jaime Robles. They find him hiding in a condominium in Rio Piedras, surrounded by 10 agents from the Bureau of Special Investigations of the Department of Justice. The man who laughed at everything is now sweating cold. They take him to court quickly. On the 1st of April 1981, Judge William Fay Santiago of the Superior Court of San Juan hands down the sentence. To Moncha La Grilla, 34 to 50 years in prison. To ex-agent Jaime Robles, 46 to 50 years. The defense for both asked for probation, to let them out on the street with a bracelet or something. The judge shakes his head and that's it. Jaime Robles, standing right there in the dock, raises his hand trembling and asks the judge for urgent protection in the Bayamon Regional Jail or to be transferred because I am afraid they will kill me. The judge answers dryly, the Department of Corrections handles that, not me. Moncha doesn't say a peep. They take her away in handcuffs, hair loose, a gaze of steel, and they put her in the Industrial School for Women in Vega Alta, which back then was the old name for the women's prison. Bail, $350,000. Impossible to pay. People thought, the movie is over. The queen has truly fallen. The newspapers ran big headlines. Underworld boss falls. Are you enjoying this video? Don't forget to follow us and activate the bell so you don't miss anything that's coming. The murder of El Grillo. The confession that confirmed what everyone was already whispering. Several years pass. Moncha is in prison, but her name doesn't fade. Suddenly, an ex-agent who was already accused of several crimes, Irán Vázquez Negrón, decides to talk, and when he opens his mouth, he drops the bomb all of Puerto Rico was waiting for. He confesses to having killed at least 5 people under contract. And among those 5 people was Mercedes Medina, alias El Grillo, Moncha's husband. And he doesn't stop there. He says it clearly. The contract was put out by Moncha La Grilla herself, that she paid to have her husband removed so she could be left alone in command of the bolita and everything else. Years later, in 1987, during the trial against Commander Emeterio Ortiz, Ortiz himself takes the stand and confirms it all. He says that Moncha paid Irán Vázquez Negrón to kill El Grillo, that even he, Emeterio Ortiz, was recruited by Irán Vázquez to accompany him on the day of the murder and that he was also paid for being there. Then he drops another pearl that left the room frozen, that Moncha fell in love with him, that they started an intimate relationship, but that he, married and all, only pretended to love her because she paid him? Literally, he said, I had sex with her because she paid me, not because I love her. I use her. The defense by lawyer Raymond Catara even called her to testify as a witness just to humiliate Ortiz, saying, look how far this man sank. He left his elegant and statuesque wife to be with Moncha La Grilla. 1984 to 1985. The federal RICO indictment that almost buried her forever, but fell through by a hair. Moncha is already in prison, serving the 34 to 50 years, but the feds enter the game hard. 12 Puerto Rican policemen, including Emeterio Ortiz and people from Alejo Maldonado's death squad, are federally indicted for belonging to a criminal enterprise that kidnapped and robbed boliteros. And in that same indictment, they include Moncha, even though she was already incarcerated. The details that came out in the indictment. On the 20th of December 1984, Emeterio Ortiz and another agent named Franco stopped the car of a bolitero named Juan Ramon Rosado Andrade on a street in Bayamon, identify themselves as police, search him, take a bag full of money, put him in the trunk of his own Chevrolet Monte Carlo, take him to Moncha La Grilla's house, distribute the money right there, and then abandon him in a lonely area of Bayamon. On another occasion, Moncha and Emeterio Ortiz traveled twice to Ponce and once to San Germán to watch a bolitero named Ramon Plaza Vélez, alias Don Monchos, to later assault him. Days later, other agents kidnap him, steal his money, and leave him lying in a sugarcane field. For the first time in the history of Puerto Rico, they charge under the RICO law, the same one used against the Italian mafia, policemen, and a civilian, Moncha La Grilla. The day for the arraignment arrives before federal judge Justo Arenas. They ask the 12 policemen, how do you plead? All of them not guilty. It's Moncha's turn. They look at her, ask her, how do you plead? She loud and clear answers, guilty. The entire room stays in shock. The 12 policemen look at each other. The federal lawyer's eyes go wide as plates. Her own lawyer almost falls out of his seat, whispers something in her ear quickly, and she changes. No, innocent. I made a mistake. Under fame, the press goes crazy with the almost guilty. But in 1985, the federal charges against her fall apart completely. Why? Because the feds messed up. The Ramon Plaza Vélez they were watching was a different one who lived in La Alhambra, Ponce, and that one was never robbed. The one they said Moncha was going to rob was never touched. Moncha was already in prison when several of the events supposedly occurred, There were major contradictions between what the grand jury said and the actual evidence. Case dismissed against her. The policemen did get screwed, many ended up convicted, but Moncha walked away again, well, inside the state prison, but without federal charges over her. And people said the same thing again. Nobody touches that woman. But the final chapter was still missing, the one in 93, when they finally sentenced her for the death of El Grillo. The 11th of May 1993, the final pact that got her out quickly and silenced many mouths at once. After all the messes, the cases that fell apart, the hands of the prosecutors, the years as a fugitive, the corrupt police, the rumors of drug trafficking, finally the day everyone was waiting for arrives. The 11th of May 1993, Bayamón Court, Moncha La Grilla, her hair now showing some gray, but with the same gaze that froze your blood, stands before the judge. There is no longer a jury, there are no longer federal cameras, there are no longer 12 accused policemen beside her. This time, it is her alone against the state. The prosecution brings the heaviest accusation. They had never been able to prove that she ordered the murder of her own husband, Mercedes Medina, El Grillo, and that she was also directly linked to the gang of corrupt police led by Alejo Maldonado. In other words, murder for hire and criminal association with the very people who were supposed to protect the public. Everyone thought, now they're really going to bury her for life. But in Puerto Rico, when it comes to Moncha, things are never what they seem. Instead of going to a full trial, Moncha accepts a plea deal with the prosecution. The sentence? 10 years in state prison. 10. Yes, you read that right. After being wanted for more than 15 years, after leading Bolita organizations and supposedly drug trafficking, after being pointed out as the mind behind the death of her husband, 10 little years and that's it. The street went crazy. How is it possible? Who helped her from the inside? How much did that deal cost? Because everyone knew that with good behavior and bonuses for working in prison, that would easily be reduced to 5 or 6 real years. And so it was, Moncha got out much sooner than anyone expected. Some say they even saw her walking through Bayamón as if nothing happened, shopping at the plaza, greeting old neighbors who still crossed themselves when they saw her pass. That May 11th of 93 was the last time justice laid hands on her, and it was with silk gloves. 2008, the grandson, who became famous worldwide, dead on his feet and wearing Nike sneakers. The year was 2008. Puerto Rico was in a different place, but suddenly a photo traveled the whole world and even appeared on CNN, BBC, and Telemundo International. A 21-year-old young man, Angel Luis Pantoja Medina, better known as Pedrito, appeared shot in the Quintana residential complex, Hato Rey. They killed him with several shots. A normal case for the time until it comes time for the wake. The family decides something that had never been seen. They hold the wake with him standing up in the living room of the house with a tilted cap, oversized t-shirt, thick gold chains, sagging jeans, and impeccable white Nike Air Force Ones. They stood him in a corner as if he were waiting for his turn on the bus. They even put a cigarette in his mouth. People stood in line to take photos with the standing dead man. The video went viral before TikTok even existed. The world talked about the case. What kind of country is this? Foreigners said. But in Puerto Rico, we knew it was something else. It was respect, it was defiance, it was the street saying here nobody kneels, not even dead. What very few people knew at that time and what came out years later was that this young man was the direct grandson of Carmen Ramona Sánchez Merced, Moncha La Grilla. Although Pedrito had no known criminal record, the police investigated his death from all angles. Deaths, drug points, even a possible connection to a double murder in Rio Piedras that had happened weeks before. In the end, the case remained unsolved, like so many others. But the street never forgot the detail. Moncha's blood was still running, and it was still bringing headlines. Where is Moncha today? The legend nobody dares confirm or deny. And here we reach the end of the road, or rather the point where the road gets lost in the fog. After leaving prison with the bonuses, Moncha La Grilla disappeared from the public map. There are no recent photos, no interviews. There is no one who dares to say, I saw her the other day at the grocery store. The latest information that has circulated, and mind you, it is not 100% confirmed, is that she might be alive between 80 and 85 years old, living quietly somewhere on the island, or perhaps even outside of Puerto Rico. This is as far as we go with the complete story of the woman who marked an entire era in Puerto Rico. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for staying until the end, for accompanying me through every twist, every betrayal, and every detail of this Puerto Rican legend who is still out there somewhere, breathing the same air as you and me. Share this video with that friend who says that was in the past, so they can see that there are still names that carry weight. I'll see you very soon with another story that won't let you sleep. Take care of yourselves, respect the street, because the street never forgets. Blessings, and until next time,